Brandon, if you could do me a massive favor and just kick off the interview by introducing yourself, that'd be wicked.
My name is Brandon Kyle Saller, and I am the lead singer of metalcore pioneers Atreyu.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks so much.
I
The
only said
curse,
that because that's what the last interview called us, and I was like, that sounds nice.
that's a good tagline.
I
Yeah,
would
let's
never.
leave with that. The Curse is often cited as the defining album of Atreyu's career. What do you remember most vividly about the time you spent creating it?
I remember going stir crazy in the woods in Canada. We recorded that record in about 2.5 weeks, and it was a long, arduous 2.5 weeks. But I think at the time you never realize what you're doing until it exists in the world and the world tells you good job and pats you on the back. So I think at the time we were just like excited and in a really good place as a band. We had put out our sort of first album, and it had a lot of success and took us to places very quickly that we kind of didn't expect. So I think for us it was a lot of internal pressure, but good pressure to just like make sure we did better.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think we all thought we were making something great, but you know, you never really you never really fully realize that until the world decides your
Yeah.
fate.
Yeah, definitely. Did that album for you, did that give you guys a moment of like, holy shit, we've made it, like somewhere along the way?
For sure. I mean, even the beginning of the cycle, we did a record signing in Southern California at a like a Virgin Megastore, and I
Yeah.
remember talking to our management, and then we are like, "We want you. The label wants you to do a record signing," and we're like, "That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. Like, we're not the Backstreet Boys. Like, we're Atreyu." They're like, "Oh, they think it's gonna be really cool." So we show up to this place. It's like an outdoor mall kind of thing, and expecting like nothing. Quite
Yeah.
honestly, we're expecting it to be like a pretty embarrassing evening. And we show up, and there's like people wrapped around the entire outside of this mall, which is like it's like like multiple football fields of
What?
area. And we're like, oh, in our like naivety, we're like, oh, I wonder what else is going on here today. Like there must be a new movie
There
coming out
was,
or something.
yeah.
And there ended up being literally thousands of people there for our signing. We were there for like 6 hours. We had to
Oh
take
my God.
breaks, and there was like security guards, and it was this whole thing that we were very much not accustomed to. So like even just right off the bat, before like the touring cycle even started, it was like, okay, something has shifted,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but not mad at it, not mad at it at all. There
Yeah.
was this
No.
poor kid that won a contest. He won a contest, and he got to eat dinner with us after the signing.
Oh,
But the thing that stuck for him was he was number like 50 in the line. So he got done pretty quick. But then he just had to sit there for 6 hours while we
oh,
finished this signing. And the
oh,
only thing that was open after we got done was a TGI Fridays. And everyone knows that that's not exciting at
it's
all.
not. Yeah.
No. But
Oh, I'm sure he still really enjoyed his
I'm
dinner
sure it
with
was
you.
a decent memory. He probably got some good mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the poor thing. And sorry, if you could go back to the studio during the making of The Curse, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh my God. Um, I think I don't know. I felt like I was pretty relaxed while making that record. I felt like um it's hard to like think back and get I didn't have like tons of like struggle moments with making that record.
Yeah.
I felt really good, with like the way we recorded drums was like really cool. We were in this really big, like Brian Adams records like recording studio in Vancouver. I probably would have gone back and told myself to play to a click because I
Yeah.
didn't. But I mean, I think part of the charm of that album is that how all over the place the energy is. It's very
Mhm.
real.
Yep.
Um, but I felt pretty good about that record. I mean, when we made Suicide Notes, I was literally like calling my mom and dad, like, "Hey, can I borrow $20 so that I can buy rice from the Chinese food restaurant down the street for the next week to eat?" Like that was a real like we were all sharing a hotel room in Newark, New Jersey. Like eating white rice because we were poor. This was a
Oh,
much more, much better experience. And but I don't know. I think that I was in a good place when we made that record. So I think I was where I needed to be. I don't know if I could give
yeah.
myself any advice.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. If you feel like at the time, a lot of people might have said, "Oh, I was so young and dumb and didn't know X, Y, Z," but it really sounds like you guys with that album, you really knew what you wanted to put out.
Yeah, we put a lot of focus. Like it's one of the only records we've ever like fully written, demoed, album title in order, everything before we even went in the studio. That's like one of the only records we've ever done that. So
Yeah.
actually, I do have one thing I would tell my younger self. The last night when we wrapped the record, the producer took us out to a bar, and I think I had only been drinking for about a year. So as you would imagine, I was pretty much only drinking just like pure girl drinks. And I think I drank like 13 Sex on the Beaches.
Whoa.
Um, and I threw up violently for hours. And I would go back and tell myself, don't do that. Maybe just do 12. Just do
Those
12.
girl drinks sometimes they're pretty strong.
Just sugar. Yeah, just sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh dear. And how does it feel to return to Australia for this 20th anniversary celebration? Do you have any wild or unforgettable memories from past tours here?
For sure. I mean, we have so many great Australian memories. Like Australia's like always been sort of second home to us. I remember like early days, I don't even know if they do this anymore, but they would do like under 18 and over 18 shows. So we do
Yeah.
like two in a row, or we were like hanging out in cities for 2 days in a row. Obviously, we've done like Soundwave in Australia, which was so great.
Hmm.
One of our first ever like sort of like we always call it our Michael Jackson moment was in Australia. We played a show, I believe it was in Melbourne, and like we went out to the van to leave afterwards, and like 100 people like crowded the van and were like trying to open the doors and shit.
My
And of
God.
course, like again to us, we're like, I don't who do they think's in this van?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's just
but
us.
like, you know what I mean? But like that feels cool. But that was our first ever one of those was in Australia for sure.
Yeah,
So
wicked.
we love Australia.
Oh, awesome. And speaking a little bit more about the fans, what's the weirdest or coolest thing you've been given to by a fan?
Oh man. I mean, I think it's always cool when people get Atreyu tattoos. Some people are weird about that. I think it's awesome when people get like
Yeah,
Atreyu tattoos or signature tattoos. I always try to recommend. They're like, "Oh, can you sign my arm so I can get a like
get
tattoo
it.
tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Why don't I just sign a paper and
And
then
then,
it'll still
yeah,
look good on you tomorrow?" They're like, "No." It's like, "All right, fair enough."
all
But
right.
I think that's cool. I mean, we haven't gotten tons of like really weird stuff. Like there's like I know some bands get like weird gifts from fans, and I think that our mania has always stayed at somewhat non-psychotic levels, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that's good. That is really good.
Yeah,
Some of the things I've heard from like past fans have been like a whole like raw fish just given to them as like a cultural delicacy or something,
yeah.
and it's like, okay.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants
No.
that.
Exactly.
Cut it up and put it on some rice. Fantastic.
That's it. That's
Let's eat
it.
sushi together. But I don't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. And what was the biggest challenge in preparing to play The Curse in full again after all these years?
Well, the first it was just going back and relearning a bunch of songs that we almost never played. There was like 5 songs on the record that we actually played, and the rest we like
Didn't.
literally almost never played them. So it was relearning a lot. Like going back and thinking of parts and being like, does that suck? You're like, no, I don't think it must not suck. So, and you always want to you always want to honor the record and people's nostalgia. So you don't want to
Mhm.
change too much. And then a huge hurdle for us has been myself and Porter taking over all the screaming vocals. So like, not only is it songs that we didn't write like vocally, like I wrote choruses and stuff, but our old singer Alex wrote like all the verses and all the lyrics. So it's like he was very poetic and
Yeah.
like just very poignant in writing lyrics. And in that being said, he wrote a fucking lot of them. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of words that are lot of words to learn, a lot of words to fit in and sort of like figure out how to breathe. But it's been really cool. It's been fun for us to kind of break things up and still kind of have fun with who's doing what.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess as you're saying, like it would have been a bit of a challenge to have to adapt with new vocalists, well, you guys singing the older songs and things like and different parts.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
yeah. It's but it's been really cool. Like it's challenging, and like I said, you want to keep things as close to the original and not break sort of people's like sacred thing of what they think this
of
record
it
is. But at the same time, you want to make it your own and kind of make it adapt it. But we're really trying our best to stay as true as possible.
to it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And are there any songs that you haven't played live in a long time, or maybe ever that you're excited or nervous to bring back?
I mean, like I think Five Vicodin we did one time in the past. So
Mhm.
we did so far we've done three Curse shows. We did the When We Were Young Festival, which was 2 nights, and then we did one warm-up show in Orange County. So Five Vicodin I think has been like the that was like the second or third time it ever got played. I think like Demonology, same thing, maybe a couple times. Never played the interlude live, not once.
Yeah.
Um, and definitely fucked it up. Um,
Um,
but we won't this time.
no.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that really is like I said, back in the day, we probably played Bleeding Mascara, Right Side of the Bed, You Eclipsed, This Flesh of Tomb, and The Crimson.
Yeah.
Those are like the five songs. The rest of the album literally never got touched. So,
Yeah.
like, what's My Sanity is another one that we never played that is like wild,
Yeah.
but it's cool. You're like finding all this new value in these songs that you never really get to touch. They're still exciting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And obviously on this tour as well, will you be playing some of your classics?
Yeah, the plan is to do, the record front to back and then kind of do an encore set of sort of the fan faves. There's some songs in our set that in our catalog that are sort of like unavoidable.
Yeah.
And you can't like not play them. So we're gonna try and squeeze as many of those in as we can.
Yeah, definitely. Wicked. And
Yeah.
it has been a long time since you guys have been here, right? It's been
Well, no, we were there last year actually.
oh
This is
whoops.
the fastest turnaround we've ever made to Australia, which is also ridiculous because the last tour we did was about I think it was last December or something about a year ago,
Oh,
a
far
little over
out.
a year ago, and we did a headline tour and it was like one of the more successful tours we had done in Australia
Yeah.
in a long time, and then to come back so soon and have this whole tour be sold out already is shocking and awesome
Crazy.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oops, I just exposed myself. I'm a fake fan. Sorry.
It's
Because
all
I
right.
remember I was there at Soundwave when you guys were there. So I was like, that's the last time they've been here. That was
Yeah,
years ago.
dude, it's all right. This is kind of what these curse tours are doing to people.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes you gotta knock on the nostalgia door and remind people how cool your band is.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And speaking of some of your influences, who influenced you guys back in the day, and maybe who influences you guys now? Has that changed or?
I think back in the day we were very much into like I think collectively as a band, try to think of a handful of bands that we were like all into. I
Mhm.
mean, Soil Work, Alkaline Trio, AFI, um, you know, Deftones, um, Death by Stereo, stuff like that. But we were all, there was a lot of bands that we all mutually enjoyed, but like those are kind of the ones we were super into back in the day. I think honestly, not a lot's changed. I don't think Dan's listened to a new band in 25 years. If he has, it's like white boy reggae or like
Mhm.
something he found from the 1940s. Um, but I mean, yeah, we all still listen to kind of a lot of like the Scandinavian metal, and
Mhm.
I listen to quite a bit of pop now, and there's always those staple bands that we still look back to for inspiration. AFI will always look to them as a reference point. A lot of the, like I said, the kind of, Scandinavian metal will always look to as a reference point.
Yeah.
I have certain bands, like certain records and like from like the Orange County scene, like Adamantium or Throwdown, I'll always kind of look to as a reference point. Death by Stereo as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the main influences, like I think because that was the stuff that got us kind of ticking when we first started, there's something
Mhm.
special that kind of holds a special place that like that's where it all started. So that's it's a good reference point.
Yeah, yeah. And when you think back to your earliest days as a band, what drove you the most, and has that motivation changed over the years?
I think it's the same. I think that it's like it's always just been the kind of like desire to reach as many ears that will listen, you know? And
Yeah,
then I think when you're in a band, you sort of you sort of have these like mountains that you try to climb. And then once you get to the top of the mountain, you realize there's always a taller mountain. So it's
yep,
like that's kind of the a huge driving factor of just like wanting to reach as many people as we can and accomplish like all of the be them maybe cliche things that dudes in bands want to do, but like everyone wants to be an arena band, everyone wants to be headliners, everyone wants to play all these crazy countries that no one ever goes to. Like so, it's like we still have a lot of that shit on our list.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And
Mhm.
for you, is do you prefer like the smaller, more intimate shows, or do you prefer the big stadium shows?
They both have their merit. I mean, there's nothing like, 1,000 people or 500 people slammed into a room. Like, my sweat's definitely in your mouth, and like I can smell your breath because you're right there.
You're right
Like
there. Yeah,
there's something about that. That's like an unmatched energy. But at the same time, like playing like sold out arenas is also very tight. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
also sort of an unmatched thing. So they both have a good element. I'll take
yeah.
either one.
And then adding on to that, I suppose as well, festivals. Do you enjoy festivals or not? Not so much.
Love festivals. I think that bands are always have a different worth at a festival. And I think you can truly see like the real value of a band like based on how they do it in a festival environment. Some
Yeah,
bands play festivals and it's just like, okay, yeah, they played. Like some bands play festivals and it's like, I didn't know this band was that big. And I think that like if you can be that band in a festival environment that people walk away going, I didn't realize that band was that big. Like
yeah,
that's the goal for sure.
yeah. And the
Like
energy.
Papa Roach is a great example. Papa Roach is a band that's very big, but we'll play festivals and you're like, wait, this band doesn't headline stadiums everywhere because that
Yeah,
show was a stadium headline show, and
yeah,
everyone knew the words and everyone, you know what I mean. So it's like there's I love the festival environment. That's your true like proving ground as a band.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And you can
Mhm.
tell as well when that band feeds off that energy from the crowd and it
Oh yeah,
like works. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, crazy. And are there any songs in the Atreyu catalog that feel especially personal or cathartic to perform, even after all this time?
Man, I think some of the ones off the curse, like I said before, that we never really did, they just feel
Mhm.
so new, and it's kind of a weird feeling because you're like, I know this song is old as fuck, but it just feels exciting still.
Yeah,
Um, it's always it's the to me it's the big ones. Like I think a lot of bands have like big hits or their biggest kind of songs, and maybe they get sick of them because they have to play them all the time. But it's like it's always the ones that are just loudest live, where you're like, man, like we fucking wrote this out of thin air,
yeah,
and people love it. Like that's like what is better than that. Like those are always the moments. It's just like becoming the bull is always so loud. Time is
yeah,
now is always so loud. Right side of the bed is always so loud. It's like those songs where you're like, those are the moments that I'm like, this is fucking cool. Being in a band is
yeah,
very cool.
yeah. And still, exactly. And still, after all this time as well, that you know that they're just gonna just take off.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's wicked. And if you weren't in a band, what do you think you'd be doing right now? And no pressure, but your answer may disappoint your fans.
I think I don't know, hopefully it's not that disappointing. I feel like I would either be in music still, either like managing
Mhm.
or potentially booking bands.
Yeah.
Um, and if it wasn't music at all, I'd be a chef for sure.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I can throw down some good food. So I think I would be a chef. It'd be probably arguably harder than being in a band, but that's like the one other thing that I think would enjoy.
Yeah. Do you get asked to cook a lot on the road or?
I'm the only one. Yes. My band's always like we'll be in the studio or something and we're like, we like to cook. I like to cook, so we'll go and we'll shop and just cook every night. And it's like 6 or 7 rolls around, everyone's like, "Oh, you guys getting hungry?" And then everyone just looks at me and it's
Looks
like,
like you.
"I guess I'll go fire up the grill again." Like like I'm the one that always cooks.
Oh, it sounds like they're lucky to have you around.
I mean, I think my food tastes good. Hopefully they do too.
Yeah.
They're good
Oh,
liars if they don't.
Oh, I'm sure they do. And you guys have been through different eras, lineups, and
Mhm.
sounds. What's been the biggest personal growth moment for you as a frontman through it all?
I mean, I think that this whole last handful of years has been sort of an eye-opening thing for me because to be in a band for at the time about 20 years and go, okay, we're going to change things up on people. For me, there was a massive, not pressure, but just massive like undertaking for within myself to go, well, then I need to make sure that no one has anything to say.
Hmm.
And I need to go into this and be prepared and prepared to present myself in a way that people don't even flinch. And you can't please everybody. Everyone has opinions, and that's fine. But I know that going into an Atreyu show now with not only myself but the rest of the band, the work that we've put in and the sort of like joy and excitement we get currently, but from being in this band, I know that we go on stage every night and there's no one in the crowd that can be like that sucked, like fuck you guys, because it's like, okay, well then you're just an asshole and you hate everything. Like there's not like so that was a huge eye-opening thing for me because for the first time in my career it wasn't just like, oh, be good for you. It was like, no, be good for everyone that's not expecting you to,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and it's still a work in progress. I'm still learning every day, and we've been in the studio making new music too, and it's like just always trying to, like I said before, like get to the top of a mountain and see a
Memories.
taller mountain. It's like
Yeah,
that's our whole existence these days.
yeah, that's it. It sounds like it's been really responsible of you to make sure and check in with your bandmates as well, that you're all on the same page.
Yeah, we have to be. I mean, and it's very much a group effort. Like everything we do is decided on by all of us, and like I mean, to the point where like we manage our own band these days. Like we manage ourselves, and we make every decision together, and we come up with every idea together, and it's very much a unified force.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Awesome to hear. And do you have any stories from fans over the years that have really stuck with you?
I mean, there's been a lot of people that, I mean, it's those times where I did an interview with Melissa Cross. She's a brilliant vocal teacher and she works with heart support. And we did a couple things where it was like people submitted questions about kind of the music, like helping them through areas. And it was like one of the most heartbreaking 15 minutes of my life because the stories were like fucked up. Like it was brutal.
Oh,
And her main thing was she was like, you don't have to answer these.
mhm.
You don't have to have a answer to a question, or you don't have to have an answer to make someone feel better. It's just someone wanting to share with you what you shared with them. So
Yeah,
that alone is like one of those things where you're just like, that's nuts. Because when you, in essence, like we're a couple of very immature dudes from Southern California that to this day pretty much live and breathe by dick and fart jokes. And like we just so happen to care enough about one thing, making music, enough to like pour our hearts somewhere.
yeah,
And it's the only thing that exists for us that we can pour all of our shit.
yeah,
So the fact that it affects anyone deeply like that is constantly like an eye-opening, um, insanely validating thing. So
yeah,
especially when it's brutal stuff, when it's like hard things, it's wild. It's like I have those things myself. So
yeah.
to be that is something that I never expected to to be able to say.
It must be a huge weight to carry, but also kind of like an honor to be that person, as you said, for some people.
100%. 100%. It's exactly both of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Tom has a question.
Shoot.
Brendan, you said immature, and my ears pricked up, and so I was like, right,
I heard fart jokes and had to get in there.
Yeah,
100%.
fun.
Angela has done an amazing job of keeping the tone up about here. So what
Yeah.
I'm going to do, Brendan, is I'm going to bring it down to about
Let's
here.
go lowbrow. Lowbrow. My
Oh
specialty.
God.
Now, you are coming down here with Memphis May Fire, and I have decided to bust out one of my traditional silly questions. A few
Okay.
years ago, I got two very famous Australian punk bands, and I interviewed them back to back, and I said who would win in a fight between the two of you, and I cross-cut their answers. And it was fun as hell. Like you just talk shit and do whatever. We're going to do the same thing with Memphis May Fire. Okay. So, Brendan, all in brawl. Who's winning? ATREYU versus Memphis May Fire.
This is fucking easy, dude. This is easy. Okay, here, but there's a couple wild cards in question. First order of business. I'm larger than most human beings that I've ever encountered. People make sure to tell me of that every day of my life. Like, wow, you're fucking huge. I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's always fun.
So there's that. So the only person that's even close to me in size is their bass player, Korn. And he's ripped, but he's still not as big. So he would be my main concern. Like, me and him would have to, I'd have to get rid of him first.
Yeah.
Kellen, their guitar player, is ripped and very healthy, but I think he's docile. He's very nice. So I don't know how vicious he's gonna be. I'm not worried about Maddie at all because I know for a fact that hair's not getting messed up. So he's not getting too vicious either. And Jake too. I think Jake's just really, really nice. Now, that's just me though. But the rest of our band, we have Dan, who's very short, but he's scrappy and he's very like bottom heavy. Like I'm sure you in Australia, like when you hold a koala and you're like so shocked at how hard their butt is. Like it's like if you go to pick up Dan, you're like, I'm surprised how stocky you are. Like So like he's got some weight he can throw around. Travis, our guitar player, is in peak physical condition, so I think him and Kellen would probably be a good match for each other because they're just like the two ripped dudes. Our drummer Kyle is again like 6'4", so he's got a good reach. He can get those long punches. He's not a fighter. He's probably closer to like a pacifist, but he could definitely get that reach going. But we have kind of a secret weapon in Porter. Like Porter is this like very like the friendliest guy you've ever met in your life, but he's got like that, like there's got to be a wire in there that's like just waiting to get loose, Like he's got some rage that I'm sure he'd love to let out. And I think that my size and Porter's kind of like, rage cannon that he could unleash, I think that it would be no questions. It'd be lights out for Memphis May Fire.
Perfect. I love it. My work here is done.
and they're really, and if you're really looking at them as a whole too, like that whole band is way too pretty to also be.
I think you just convinced me as well. I think my money's on you guys.
They're way too cute to be tough. Also, like you never get both. You never get both.
We should probably wrap it up, guys. So
Brandon,
thank you very much for your time.
Of course. I can't wait to see their answer to this question.
Yes.
We'll tag you in it.
Yeah.